Hi guys, it's me Gemma and welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to be recording a video about reasonable adjustments, and this was a requested video by my friend and colleague Roger, who is the Learning Disability Liaison and Autism Safeguarding Nurse at my local hospital. So I hope I've got his job title right. I should know it by now, so if I haven't, I do apologise, Roger. I'm sure you'll forgive me. So he asked me to do a topic on reasonable adjustments. It's a topic that we're both quite passionate about, and I thought, it'd be good to do a new video and do a quite serious, formal video, because the last few videos that I've done have been quite informal, and so I thought let's get back on track and back to doing a serious video. So I did some research. I've got quite a lot of notes to get through in this video, so I've got all my script here to get through. So let's get into the video. I hope you enjoy. What is meant by reasonable adjustments? Reasonable adjustments can mean things such as type of disability, size of organisation, how practical the changes are, if there is money and resources available to organisations, and whether changes have been made. Types of reasonable adjustments that should be made for people with learning disabilities or mental health or autism, I should put in that bracket as well, is such things as providing extra services such as aids, such as hearing aids, or things that will help people with learning disabilities to access services. This can be things such as lifts, wheelchair ramps, which should be an essential thing anyway. So that can be such things as them making more accessible forms. So if a person with a learning disability or autism or mental health is expected to fill a form out, that it's made in an accessible format, and to make sure that they understand it. And also services should offer people with learning disabilities or mental health or autism that they can bring a family member, a carer or a friend with them to their appointment. And also, again, reasonable adjustments can mean things like appointment letters with pictures on, a picture of a clock, a picture of the person that they might see, and then a picture of the time, so they know what time their appointment is, and a picture of the department as well. So say you're going to a doctor's appointment or a dental appointment, that you have a picture of the place of the doctors, the picture of the dentist, a picture of who you might potentially see when you're at the dentist, so things like receptionists, and a telephone, and a picture of a desk. So when you arrive there, you know that's going to be the layout for when you get there. So just little small things like that can really help a person with a learning disability or autism to feel more comfortable. So that's my first slide done. Reasonable adjustments are a statutory requirement under the Equality Act of 2010 and the Health and Social Care Act of 2008 that public sector and agencies must make their services more accessible and effective, especially for people who have a learning disability or autism or mental health issue. I know that not all these reasonable adjustments will be needed for everybody who has a learning disability, who might be on the spectrum or might have a mental health issue. It's just a thing that places have to do by law. It's a reasonable adjustment to make things easier for you and for your family and for friends and potentially professionals who will be working with you. So some more reasonable adjustments can be things like Easyread, appointment letters, clear signage and directions. This is one thing that really frustrates me when it comes to people with learning disabilities and autism, that when you go somewhere for an appointment for the first time, there is no clear signage. So for me, when I first got my autism assessment letter, there was no directions of how to get there. I had to try and find out where it was on the internet. I was thinking the worst case scenario about who was going to be seeing me, what would they look like, and I didn't have a picture of the building either. So for me, it really made me feel anxious, and I had to find a picture of it on the internet and save it to my phone, so I knew that I would be safe and I knew where I was going. But again, that should have been a reasonable adjustment. That should have been something that I had to help lower my anxiety. So again, that's a mix of communication. Also name badges and pictures, because again, this is something that I experienced quite a while ago now, but I had an incident happen to me, and people who came to see me should have had their name badges on them and they didn't, and obviously that caused quite a lot of anxiety and made me feel really quite nervous. That I had to let 2 professionals into my accommodation when they didn't have their ID. So make sure that you have that with you and a clear picture of who you are as well. So a lot of people with learning disabilities and autism might get upset if they can't see a clear picture of who you are. Also the environment, try and make the environment more of a positive place. Make sure that it's sensory friendly. Make sure that it has quiet rooms for people with learning disabilities or autism, because a lot of the time we will need time away to process the information that's been told to us, and we'll need time away from being in a loud space or time away from being in public space. Also to turn off bright lighting, so anything that's brighter than the light bulb behind me, it will trigger a sensory overload off. And also people with learning disabilities don't often like bright lights or bright colours, the same as people who are on the autistic spectrum. Make sure that they have an agenda of what's happening. So if they're going to a building for the first time, make sure they have a plan of what's happening. So they have a map of the place, they have a map of the department, they know where they're going, what time they have to be there and why, and then have the treatment explained to them if they need it. So also maybe have it as a one-to-one meeting. So if you're meeting someone for the first time who is known or suspected of having a learning disability or autism, they might feel a bit frightened if they don't know you. So maybe having a one-to-one meeting first will help explain how they feel and put their anxiety and their sensory needs lower than what they would be if they didn't have that one-to-one meeting. Also provide clear and direct instructions and set boundary deadlines. So for me, when I'm working with professionals out in the community, when I'm doing my work, I have to realise that I have to have a boundary of where I can communicate with them and what I can tell them before they get worried, or they might say, okay, Gemma, well, now it's my time to talk. I need to talk to you about this. And if they give me a timeline deadline to say I have 10-15 minutes to talk about what I want to talk about, and then I can come back and then focus on you and what you want us to do. Be aware that people with learning disabilities and autism might not be aware of humour or sarcasm. They might really struggle to understand what you're trying to say. And also, please do not assume that we will give eye contact to you, because half the chance that it's likely that we won't, and that we're not able to due to being sensory stressed, or we just can't do it. So also consider how your organisation, if they're to employ someone with a learning disability or autism, make sure you know that you have your job application forms, so they're sorted out, they're clearly labelled, they're explained. So also that they have a section for people with learning disabilities and autism on there, because again, my experience of filling job application forms out is that they don't have a specific disability section for learning disabilities or autism, and I don't understand why. That really aggravates me, and I thought that they should. It should be a mandatory thing on the disability section, that you should have a section for learning disabilities, autism and then mental health. So again, make sure that your forms are accurate and up to date. So yeah, also make sure that you avoid abstract and open-ended questions, because a lot of people with learning disabilities and autism will not understand what you're going on about. And make sure that you're straight to the point, you're direct, you're blunt. Make sure that you ask what needs to be asked, and that is it. So also when it comes to employment, get a colleague to act as a mentor to them. So if you employ someone with a learning disability or autism or mental health, that you have someone to act as a mentor to support them and to help them feel reassured and to feel safe. I know this video is quite long, I'm nearly done. So for people with learning disabilities, they may need help with things such as blood tests and going for tests, which is really, really important. And again, I will attach some pictures to explain that. Things such as Easyread and having support to help them do that is really, really important. So these are just a few simple things that you can do to make things more easier for them. I hope this video has been helpful to you. I hope that you've understood what I've talked about, and please give a comment and subscribe to my channel. And as always, I will attach the pictures at the end. And many thanks for watching. Bye!